Time's now 1 o'clock. Welcome to our March 6th Commissioner meeting. We'll start today's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda today is our County Attorney, Matt Shipman.
Good afternoon. The only things I really have to report on are the contracts and things that are on the agenda later, and I have reviewed all those.
Sure. Do we need to turn that up or?
I did get an email saying that no one can hear us in the back, so I was going to mention that we should probably all pull our mics closer.
Yeah, we'll pull them in closer. Is that any better?
It's as far as mine will go.
I guess just for purposes, can you hear me now? Okay. I don't have anything to report other than what the contracts and stuff that we're reviewing later.
Okay. Any questions for Matt?
Nope.
No.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Leslie Blakley from the Council on Aging.
Hi. Good afternoon. I'm here today to present our purchase agreement for the 2 transit, medium-sized transit buses that we have on order. The total cost of those buses is $236,266. That cost, of course, 80% of that is covered by Indiana Department of Transportation. The 20% we will be fundraising for as an organization to cover the 20%, which is about $47,250. And so, but this is the contract that the commissioners and myself need to sign in order to move forward with the purchase of those vehicles.
So I know a couple years ago, when you had started ordering these, the price was lower, obviously with inflation and everything, the price has gone up a little bit. What is the cost difference between?
It's more than double the original cost.
Okay.
And that was a reflection of COVID, unfortunately. I've seen the price maybe lower a little bit for the vehicles that we're looking at ordering next year, but nominally.
Okay. So what these are, if you haven't been following along, the Whitley County Transit vehicles that you see out in the community, they've needed a couple new ones for, at this point now, years, and they finally were able to get a couple. So that is what they are for.
The order was placed in 2021. So we're finally, and would have been received that year, we're finally receiving those vehicles.
Okay. I know that you guys definitely need them. So I have no issues. I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase agreement as presented.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that passes unanimously. Is this one of those blue ink signatures?
I
or-
don't think so. I believe
Okay.
black is just fine.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is Katy Fry, our Highway Director, with the annual report and a right-of-way permit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the annual right-of-way report, I had initially emailed that to you all, I think mid-February. So more or less, this just is a recap that we report to the state every year, and NDOT as well, that just lets them know how we're spending our funding. So we have all of our revenue that it's accounted for in here, and then we also have in the report all of our expenditures where there's details of receipts all the different categories that those monies were spent in. So if you have any detailed questions, happy to answer those, but that basically is just all of our receipts and expenditures and revenue from last year.
And I assume we need to accept the,
Yes,
Annual
this,
report.
this does require us to have a signed by all three commissioners, or signature from all three commissioners rather. And then I send a copy or submit a copy into LTAP.
and Matt, you've reviewed. So I would entertain a motion to accept the annual report.
I move to accept the annual report as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And that motion passes unanimously. Is there a copy that you want us to sign, or just one of our copies?
I have a copy that can be the copy for signature, if that works.
Yep, that'd be great.
And I'll just pass around the signature page, actually. And just sign next to your name, the one, I have to submit 2 different copies to LTAP. And then the second thing I have for you today is just a right-of-way cut permit that he's authorized. This is for the installation of a gas service in Churubusco. It's on the north side of Blue Lake. They're not going to be cutting completely across the road, but they do need to cut pavement to access a line that is in the road or underneath the road. So there's no concerns from our department, no drainage concerns with this, so it would be our advisement to go ahead and approve it.
I have no issues with it. I will move to accept it as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And that passes unanimously.
And then we did have several items that went to the Schrader real estate auction that happens every year. I don't have a total. They were supposed to email me something. I haven't received it yet. But from what I heard, it was, I mean, it's always a very successful auction, but that the highway department benefited greatly from having those items there. So I'll be able to get the totals to you at some point here when I receive them from Schrader's. And then I'll need to have the commissioners sign over the titles. So we can get those over to Schrader's as well, but I will have a bill of sale to give over to the auditor before that transaction can take place.
Okay,
Thank
any
you.
questions for Katy?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Thanks, Katy.
Thank you.
Backing up, next item on the agenda is the certificate of compliance. This is for the Series 2012 bond on this building that we're in, and this is an annual requirement that we just certify that we are complying with, that the premiums have been paid, all the reports have been filed, all fees have been paid to maintain the corporation in good standing. So we'll need to approve the certificate of compliance for the 2012 bond series.
I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Cindy Doolittle with the notice of polling and voting locations.
is for polling locations. As you can see, it's very small.
Could you talk in the microphone so those watching, I'm sorry. Thank you, Cindy.
All right, as you can see, this is a designation of polling locations for the for the primary election. As you can see, it's very small. We have one race that's going on, and it's 4 and 6. So I just need to get that signed and get it in the newspaper for the public.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Want to sign your copy or?
Yes, you can just sign my copy and then
So
give
I'll
it to Tiffany.
Entertain a motion to accept the polling locations.
I'll make a motion to accept this year's polling locations for the primaries.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that passes unanimously as well.
Thank you. I'm happy to put Tiffany in.
All right,
Perfect.
thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Kim Erdly with PTABOA member approvals.
Kim Erdly, Whitley County Assessor. I'm just here for the annual approval for our Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeal members. Nothing has changed, same 3. So this is just come to you for the 2023 members, please.
Okay, and those members are Greg Fall, Jeff Walker, and Teresa, how do you say her last name?
Sedaris.
Sedaris.
Yep.
So Kim, remind me, how do these members get selected?
Usually that is from the recommendation of the assessor. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I have no issues. I will make a motion to approve the 2023 PTABOA members.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just so the public knows, the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals, that's what PTABOA stands for.
Okay, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And that motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Nothing to sign on that, right? Kim, nothing to sign on that, right?
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, next item on the agenda is a rezoning ordinance amendment. That is Nathan. Is Nathan here?
So to refresh, this is the proposed ordinance to correct a typo that was found in the solar ordinance that was passed and adopted in October. This is a typo that is in a formula dealing with setbacks, which results in a significant change from what was originally discussed during the Plan Commission public hearings. So it's the only thing being proposed. Was tabled from your last meeting.
So just to be clear, so what we're approving, so when this initially came to us, we approved the correct ordinance, and so did Plan Commission, but the wrong ordinance, or I'm sorry, the ordinance that was
Wait.
printed was missing 10. So we already passed the correct one. So all we're doing is basically okaying a reprint of what was already passed. Is that correct?
Similar to that, what was the printed in the ordinance that you adopted had that error in it. So what was printed and you signed had the error in it, correct?
Was it in Plan Commissions?
It was a result of Plan Commission's changes, and then they did approve that as part of their certification. So yes, it was. It was not part of their discussion. The discussion was based upon the correct values.
I think that when the Plan Commission approved it, it wasn't in text format. Is that correct?
Correct.
So that's where when it went from the discussion and approving it and telling Nathan what they wanted to the point of it getting typed up is where the error came from, if that makes sense. That's the way Plan Commission usually, and maybe that based on this may change in the future, but typically would not approve the text of the ordinance. That would just usually get prepared after they tell Nathan what they're approving. And that would come to you guys, and it just slipped through the cracks. Nate, just for purposes of clarification too, Nathan and I talked about this last week. You used the word substantial. It is a substantial change, but the impact, I think, really is pretty minimal, because the setback defaults to 145 feet in the ordinance itself. And there's maybe one property that it impacts about 20 feet or a few.
I'm just curious, because that's a big deal for me with people looking on building on top of it. I mean, got a big deal to everybody else, but if that's my property line, it's a big deal. Just let me know.
Go ahead, Nathan.
There are a handful of properties for this specific project that this would make a difference to, and I believe hers would be one. Going from a total of 175 feet, which is the maximum setback, with this change going to what was discussed, it would be reduced, and I apologize, I don't know in her case specifically what it would be, but it would be still fairly large, more than 100 feet, if I recall correctly, given the location of her house on her property. But it wouldn't be quite 175 feet either. It might be, I don't even want to venture a guess.
Yeah,
But
and I can't remember either. I just, when I did the math to try and figure it out, it was interesting to me that it really didn't affect a lot of the properties.
yeah, a lot of the properties are across the road or across the railroad tracks, for example.
And I know that we have 90 days, and now is that from the date of the Plan Commission meeting or the date that it comes in front of us?
It is from the date of certification from the Plan Commission, which I, if I recall correctly, was the day after the Plan Commission meeting in this case.
Okay, do you know where we're at on that timeline?
You would still have, this is the second meeting, so you should have about 60 more days.
Okay. I think with what we've directed the Plan Commission to do with the moratorium, and since there's so many unknowns and we don't even know how the first meeting is going to go, I think we should just table this. Since we have 60 more days, there's no rush.
Okay.
Unless, I don't know, Commissioner Shipman, do you have any thoughts?
I made my position pretty clear at the last meeting, so this isn't going to be, it's not going to change anything for me, so.
Okay, so is that a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to table ordinance. What is this word? Okay. The rezoning ordinance amendments.
Okay, I have a motion to
2023.
table. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries.
Thank you. And while we're talking about it, just for the public's record, if they haven't heard, we are moving the Plan Commission venue from this building on March 15th to the high school auditorium due to the expected size of the crowd exceeding what we have capacity here for. They also have a nicer AV system than 4-H grounds do. So that was the other reason for moving to the high school rather than 4-H.
And just for public's knowledge, can you tell us the date and time of that meeting?
Sorry, I forgot the time. So March 15th at 7 p.m., high school auditorium for the Plan Commission.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a fringe benefits ordinance. Tiffany, do you want to speak to that at all, or?
Basically, it's something that came up in an audit last year. We found that we could have it been taxing employees on everything we should be for the IRS. So it's something that we've been trying to get in place. I don't know if that is. Time to look over that, fully or not yet.
Yeah, I did review it. You know, I'm not an expert on what the IRS wants us for tax purposes. It looks fine to me, as long as the State Board of Accounts thinks this satisfies what we weren't doing, which I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, we've all reviewed it.
Mhm.
And that I understand the need. And obviously with it coming from an audit, that's the purpose of an audit, is to find items that we need to clean up. So commissioners,
I have no issue with it.
What's that ordinance number?
It would be 2023-04.
I will make a motion to pass ordinance 2023-04.
Second.
okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries. The next item on the agenda is our Dossett contract. This is a year-over-year contract with Dossett Consulting. Is there anyone here to speak to it?
I can speak if you'd like. This is, we use them for our 4D services that we use. I think I gave a letter to USC as well.
Mhm.
They were able to recover 186,000 some change from our incentive services to the courts, prosecutor, clerk's office. And it's either a 1 or a 3-year agreement is how we've always done it. In the past, we've done 3 years, but it's up to you guys how you'd like to move forward with that.
We pay $5,500 a year for the subscription or
I
the
think
agreement.
it's slightly increased
6,200.
for the 17,100 for the 3 years, so it'd be 5,700.
So far, I mean, tremendous value for what he was able to accomplish for us.
Mhm.
So I'm in favor of it. Yes.
So I
I
think
have no issues with it.
then I think the question would be, do we want to do a 1 year or a 3 year, lock in the rate for 3 years?
I would be in favor of 3 years.
I would as
That's
well.
been precedent in the past.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
I'll move to accept the contract for 3 years as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries. The next item on the agenda is payroll and accounts payable claims approval.
So as I've mentioned in the last couple of meetings, this is one of the responsibilities of commissioners is to approve or examine and then approve essentially what the county's money is being spent on, and taxpayer money essentially. And so as we've said, in a sense of trying to foster a sense of working together with council as we move forward, try to involve each time a member of council in that. And so the auditor's office has previously, when I did it, I didn't think I'd allowed myself adequate time on a Monday, a month or two back. And so Tamela had said that most of the claims were ready to be examined the week previously. So we kind of set up a time where a member of council's come in, and we've done the bulk of that on Friday, as we did just last Friday with Councilman Kim Wheeler came in, and we were able to get most of look through, and I had a couple of questions, and I'd like to, every department head that I've reached out to and just had, a question about a policy or about an expense, everyone's been great. And so, and that's the same thing happened here. I had sent a couple of emails and got quick and informative responses. So I appreciate that. And there were no issues that I saw, and Commissioner Basinger actually finished the task. I don't know if she had.
Yes, there was one thing to sign off on and it was fine. There were no issues with it.
So I'll move to approve claims.
Second,
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve claims. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries.
And likewise, same experience with payroll, and we were able to look through that and everything looked fine, so there were no issues. So I'll move to approve payroll as well.
second,
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve payroll. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion also carries. Next item on the agenda is our previous meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review?
yes. And there was one thing that I would like clarified on the opioid matching grant. It indicates that I made a motion for $20,000 of the opioid funds to go to the community foundation. I'm not sure of the exact wording that I had, but it was more detailed than that. It was for, I believe, people with specific addictions, and I want it to go towards the grant, not necessarily just to the community foundation. So if we could go back and I guess listen to my wording and just change that. Other than that, they look fine to me.
I do have a change as well. And hopefully, Rob, Commissioner Shipman, you're okay with this. The thing that I clarified kind of after Commissioner Shipman's motion for the moratorium, I think the way that it's in here, and I apologize for not seeing this sooner, but it says Commissioner Shipman made a motion to enact a moratorium on corporate solar requests. And you guys really don't have the power to do that at that point. I think in essence, what you were asking is the plan commission to send us a request for a moratorium. And so the way it reads, I think it's kind of okay, but I would rather be accurate. And really that's the request is for the plan commission, which obviously they're going to talk about on March 15th, sending you guys one, then you could take action on it.
Yep.
It does kind of explain that in the last sentence there, but I just would be better.
No, I think it's reasonable to make the corrections and then we'll approve them in our next meeting.
Perfect.
We do have some facilities requests. We have 4. So the first will be from Department of Child Services. The purpose will be recognition of Child Abuse Prevention Month. And this would happen on the 3rd of April from 12 to 1, from noon to 1.
Does it say where? Is it the gazebo?
It is the gazebo and courthouse lawn and sidewalk.
I have no issues with it.
Nor do I.
I'll make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. The second request is from the Columbia City Students for Life. This is a club at the high school. The purpose is to participate in the pro-life chain. This would happen on May 6th, and the time requested is from 11 to 2. They are requesting the courthouse sidewalks.
I have no concerns.
Nor do I. I'll move to approve the request as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries unanimously. The next is from the Whitley County Republican Party. The purpose would be a business meeting and training. This would be on the 18th of April at 6 o'clock. And it looks like they would be using meeting rooms A and B in this building.
Can I see that request, please? So I know that this is after work hours. Does anyone know if they've spoken to Mark, our maintenance manager, to get this approved?
I do know that the party has used the facilities in the past for these training sessions.
I don't have an issue with it. And then just full disclosure, we would let the Democratic Party use our facilities as well for training if they needed to. My concern is I would just like to make sure that someone will be here to lock up and everything, because I know that is after working hours. And I know he's not here today, but I don't know.
Yeah, so
Commissioner Schuman?
Tim from maintenance is here after hours, and typically the one who opens and closes the doors for any other meeting. So I'm sure that Mark will coordinate with him to get that done. So I would entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the request as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And the last is from the National Day of Prayer. And this would be on the courthouse lawn on May 4th from 7 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. And not that people will gather there all day long. Normally they have an event at 7 a.m. and then they have an evening event as well that meets there. So again, courthouse lawn, May 4th from 7 a to 7:30 p.
I have no issues. I would make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion carries. Okay, at this time, we'll open up for public comments. So we'll allow 3 minutes for each individual who'd like to speak. And we will ask that you come forward to the microphone at the end of the desks and introduce yourself, and then you're welcome to speak. Is there anyone who would like to add public comment today?
Hi, I'm Ina Colbart with Ina's Playpen Childcare. We just want to let everyone know that the Whitley County People Against Solar is here. We want to make sure that you guys know that we are still here and are standing strong that, you know, we are moving forward with you guys with not wanting the solar panels in Whitley County. So just want to let you guys know that we're here today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, if you could come forward.
Thank you, Mr. President. Laurel Stockamp, my husband Tom, representative Whitley County. What did that lady just say about the solar panels?
She introduced herself and said that she was here with a group of people who are opposing Whitley County solar panels.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Are we allowed to make a motion with anything governing what you've done? Is there a new meeting that could be opened up to us here?
I guess maybe I'm not understanding the question.
It
So
would-
motions are made by the commissioners.
By the commissioner? So
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
so right now, your segment of this meeting has been closed. So could you open up another meeting that we can make a motion about things, or is that not acceptable?
Well, the Board of Commissioners makes the motions.
Okay.
So if there's an agenda item or anything else, really, I mean, we can make motions, but we're still in our regular meeting. We've just opened up.
Excellent,
Public
excellent. So could we
comment.
add to the agenda? Could we
Um,
make a motion to add to the agenda?
This is a public comment section. It's
okay.
not a,
It's-
if you have a comment to make, you have 3 minutes to make it. So
Okay, well, it may take just a bit longer, but my husband and I here are in opposition to the proposed jail. And we would very much like to see any of the progress and the work that's been done thus far to be halted, because we as representatives of Whitley County do not feel that we have been adequately notified about what you all have done. So we would like to put a halt to the progress now, where there's a lot of members of Whitley County that do not know about this. And I would suggest it be open to a referendum vote where the people of Whitley County could be more alerted and make a conscious decision about what's going to be best for our community. Because right now, as we look at the present location of the proposed new jail, we find it just not really conceivably a great place to put a jail because of its location, the businesses around it, the limited access by the departments. We just feel that there could be a better representation, a better place to put the jail. But you know, not knowing all the facts, no expert, I would like for the people to have more information that they could bring forth their ideas. Because as we all know, you represent us. And so we would like to have a greater voice in what you're doing. And the funding, everything that's gone on so far, we would like to be made and have more access to input. Do you agree with that, Tom? Do you want to step here? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just take a minute of your time. I'm Tom Stockamp. My wife and I live in Whitley County here. And our objection here is not to the jail. You know, evidently, we need a bigger jail to accommodate more, I don't know, whatever you call them, prisoners or whatever. At any rate, we feel very strongly that the location, the proposed location for this jail is horrible. It's very close to the movie theater. It's going to be very close to young members of Whitley County. It's close to private businesses. It's very close to a bank that public goes to. It's a horrible location. And we just wanted to make our opinions known. That's all. Unless you have any questions.
I have none.
I don't. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Is there anyone else?
Hello, I'm Sarah Randolph. I'm a resident of Whitley County and just wanted to echo what those folks just said about the jail location. Realizing that we do need more space and there are definitely concerns about being able to address those needs that the county has. But just would ask you to reconsider the location in light of what you've said, potentially expanding upwards on the current location. I think that was something that was in plans before. Just wanted to share concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Are you guys able to answer any questions at all, or is it just for me to talk and you guys to say thank you? I mean, I don't know. I've
It's
never been to
public
one of
comment. But
I just, my question is, with regard to the jail, proposed jail site, if there is a pending meeting to lay out the facts and the progress that you guys have made. I know you guys have been working on it for a long time, evidently. Is there a proposed time and place or meeting where you could tell somebody like me what you're planning, so I could have an accurate understanding? Is there a pending meeting?
I guess we could put a timeline together from 2017 till now.
yeah, so every step of the process with the jail has been done in meetings just like this, in public meetings that have been open for public comment. So to answer your question, there's not currently anything scheduled, as decisions were made, they were done in these meetings. And of course, there was at least one extra special meeting. I think the title of the meeting was a special meeting that kind of went over everything up to that point.
Yeah, I think that was the joint
The joint
meeting with
commissioner
council, and you
meeting.
had updated them on everything,
Right.
and they asked questions and gave updates.
Yep.
And was there a ballpark number as far as being spent on the new jail?
Yeah, 38 million. I don't have the exact number, but it's 34 million for the build, and then there's some soft cost for furnishing and just other owners' expenses that take it up to a total of 38 million.
38 million.
Mhm.
Do you guys remember how much the high school costs?
I don't know.
I think it ended up being around $90 million, if I remember right. 85 is what I'm being told, around
Roughly
85.
Neighborhood of half the high school, not quite, being spent on a new jail. It just doesn't seem like there's been as much public information, public meetings with this project as there was with the high school. And it is kind of interesting from a perspective for mine that we're going to spend almost $40 million. And without large scale community input. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Sorry, Dr. Nathan Randolph.
Matt, do you have anything to add?
I mean, not really. Unless you want me to try and comment on it, some of it,
Sir, go ahead. You can come forward for public comment.
My name is Tom Case. I own property in Whitley County, don't currently live there. But this project for the jail, I know it's been over 2 years, 3 years in planning. I've known about it for the last 2. I don't even live in Whitley County. So if these kind of things take place, they have notified the public, I'm sure. We don't always pay attention to it, but we do get notified. So I'm not in opposition of where it is, but if there's a better place, come with a result to fix that versus just a complaint to stop what's already happened, because it's already happened. That's all I have.
Thank you. Yes, sir. If you could come forward, that'd be great.
I have just one more quick comment. I would really appreciate these meetings be better advertised and then have them available to the public instead of during the day here when most everybody is working. It's, I don't think the word's getting out. We didn't find out about this jail until just a couple, maybe a week ago. And it isn't that we got our head in the sand or anything. We just didn't know anything about it. And it's very important to us. I'd also like to comment that I think we need to look into putting a second, third floor on the existing jail building. Is that ever been talked about?
Yes, sir. That was explored. The architect of the current jail even looked at the prints from 1985 or whenever they were drawn. Construction was completed in 1987, and unfortunately, a second floor would not support more confinement space. It could support offices, other county offices, if you wanted to move up, but it wouldn't support additional confinement space.
Because of the weight?
Because of the way, because of the standards, the building standards and codes have changed a lot since 1987, and we did explore it. It was something that we looked at.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Shipman,
I have nothing to add at this time.
Commissioner Basinger,
I have nothing.
and I have nothing to add. So I will at this time adjourn the meeting.